Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. We'll just letting a few others join. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here and joining us for the Atomic Jolt Lunch and Learn, Powering AI at Your Institution with Atomic Search. I'm Lauren Romano, and with me is Justin Ball. He is the co-founder and CTO of Atomic Jolt, and he has over 2 decades of experience in the software industry. Over the past 10 years, he has dedicated himself to advancing open educational resources and interactive online learning. He founded Atomic Jolt to enhance the efficiency, effectiveness, and engagement in education. In today's session, Justin will focus on the practical applications of Atomic Search, showcasing how its capabilities can enhance your AI projects. During the session, please feel free to drop all your questions into the chat. We will either answer them live or we'll answer them in the chat. Be sure to look out for my email that follows. It'll include a recording of today's session, as well as a link to our calendar if you are interested in learning more about how we can partner with you. But now we'll get right to it.
All right. Thanks, Lauren. So I guess to start with, I'd like to give you a little bit of background and start with a story. So once upon a time, when the internet was still in its infancy, in the middle of the night, there was a college student sitting in a dark basement with a $200 circuits textbook in hand. And as all college students do, he had waited until the night before to start cramming for the next day's midterms. Sitting alone in the dark, he was stuck. No amount of rereading the paragraphs or restudying the books or reviewing the content would make any difference to fix the knowledge gap that was left in his brain. And his only hope was the merciful 7 a.m. TA who would help all of the rest of the students who had waited until the last minute to study as well. Fast forward a couple years. Once again, I'm sitting alone by myself in the middle of the night. I'm learning to code for this brand new technology that was called the web. I had paid thousands of dollars of my own money to get an MSDN subscription to gain access to tools and documentation that were required to work with this brand new thing called the .NET framework from Microsoft. It was the cutting edge of web development at the time. And once again, every night I would be at the mercy of the Microsoft tech writers. Every roadblock that I encountered this time was my own to overcome. There wasn't a TA, there wasn't anybody who knew more at that time because it was such a brand new technology. Fast forward again to 2013, Joel Duff and I formed Atomic Jolt based on our experiences working in the open education space. And our goal is to make education more efficient, more effective, and more engaging. We spent a lot of time building lots of different tools. We've been able to work with lots of amazing people at lots of incredible institutions from around the world. These days, we use open source for everything. We have a great team, and life is great. So fast forward again, it's the winter of 2022. I live in Cache Valley, Utah. It's in the very northern part of Utah. It gets very cold and dark in the middle of winter, and I'm riding my bike trainer, waiting for spring to arrive. I've watched every single episode of Stargate ever produced, and at this point in my life, I've decided I need to do something better with my time. So I spend lots of time on YouTube, watching and learning about the latest and greatest technologies. And all of a sudden, about that time, every YouTube channel, every tech channel is filled with information about how amazing artificial intelligence has become, where it's all of a sudden something that could replace everything and everyone and every job, and everybody's saying, this is the next big thing. Here's how you make all this money, et cetera, and all of this. And I'm encouraged to pay attention. At that point, after having a chance to use an LLM, in this case ChatGPT, probably like everybody else, I knew that the days of being roadblocked in the middle of the night were over. This would be an opportunity, a technology that would be life-changing and have such an impact for us to be able to help people to learn when they're ready to learn. And so now today I use several different LLMs every day. I use Copilot to help me write code. My team uses Copilot. We use ChatGPT. That helps to overcome writer's block. If you've ever written an RFP or responded to an RFP, you know that there's quite a bit of mundane writing that has to be done. And so the ChatGPT and similar LLMs can help us to outline, overcome, provide feedback, and help us through those processes. Once again, to help us to overcome those roadblocks. I suspect that my experience is not unique. A lot of people on this webinar today have probably had similar experiences. But along with those experiences, I've also had the same thing that you've probably experienced, which is what I would call AI anxiety. As you hear all of the news, you think AI is taking all of the jobs. There's no need for software engineers anymore, which is, hits me close to home since I'm a software engineer. Maybe we don't need tutors. We don't need educators. We don't need this. We don't need anything anymore because AI is going to do everything. And all of a sudden, you start to feel a little bit like this. We have to AI all the things. And maybe you start to think Elon Musk was right, that humanity is just the biological bootloader for artificial intelligence. But hopefully today, as we talk, we can relieve some of this anxiety. I know I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of years thinking about, what is Atomic Jolt's role? What is our position as we kind of enter this new phase of technology? So as we consider how we incorporate artificial intelligence in our day-to-day lives, and in particular in our teaching and learning, we want to, I think, really think deeply about the kinds of experiences that we want to design and the kind of experiences that we want to have as instructional designers, as educators, and as students. I think that many of us fill both of those roles, even if we are on the educating as an instructor side of things, we hopefully still maintain our role as student throughout our lives. Artificial intelligence has the potential to remove quite a few of the roadblocks and improve the time between inquisition and confusion and discovery and resolution. The other nice thing is that large language models have infinite patience and they have infinite time to dedicate to helping you or your students answer questions. If you've ever taught in a classroom, you've probably had the experience of informing your students, doing the very best you can, and then they still don't get it. And so then in an after hours learning opportunity, you continue to provide them with more information. They still don't get it. And even the most patient instructors eventually run out of patience. It can be a very frustrating experience. But computers don't have that problem. They don't run out of patience. They don't become frustrated. They can continue to provide different perspectives to help the students find a pathway to discovery and find a pathway to some answers. So today we want to propose a solution to this question. How can AI have a meaningful impact on teaching and learning for me, for my students, and for my organization? So to start with, here at Atomic Jolt, we spent about the last 8 years working on Atomic Search. We've spent time ensuring that it's robust, that it's secure, that it's compliant with industry and privacy standards. And here you can see on the, here's a screenshot of Atomic Search running inside of Canvas. Atomic Search also works inside of Blackboard, works inside of Brightspace. Our original implementation of Atomic Search used keyword search. That's the kind of search that you're probably familiar with. If you've ever searched for anything on Google, you type in a couple of keywords, you get results back. We've also implemented semantic search. And semantic search is slightly different from keyword search in that it derives meaning from your search. So rather than just searching for an exact match, for example, when I search biology, I'll find the term biology. Maybe I want to search for the term heart attack, but my content contains the word cardiac arrest instead of just heart attack. So semantic search calculates the distance and uses distance as a way to distance between different kinds of terms and uses that as a way to derive meaning. So the word heart attack is close in distance to the word cardiac arrest, but it's far away from the word car. And so when you get search results using semantic search, you can find things that are outside of just keyword matches. Both kinds of searches have different kinds of advantages. And so we've also added a combined search so that we can get results from both of those so that you can get the best of both worlds. Okay. We have also used Atomic Search to build our own platforms. And this is why we've decided to provide Atomic Search as a platform to our customers, because we've been able to use it internally to build additional products and services. So Atomic Search already has all the security, it has the data governance built in. We've been able to build Atomic Author on top of Atomic Search. That allows you to improve the authoring of content. We've been able to build our find and replace tool on top of Atomic Search. Again, that is where it's critical that for keyword search to function correctly, because you don't want to do semantic search in that case. You want to make sure that what you are replacing is exactly the match. You don't want to all of a sudden find things that are similar and replace those things. So keyword search in that case is really important. We've also built our relinking service on top of Atomic Search. This helps us solve the problem of migrating between tools, between versions of tools. We've also built a consortium-based search engine that allows you to search across multiple instances of Canvas. And we're continuing to work with several of our customers to continue to build next generation AI-based applications now on top of Atomic Search. There are several commercially available LLMs available. And so those are trained on billions of parameters. It's hard to comprehend that volume of data, but that's the magic that makes LLMs work. Even with all of that data, though, they are not going to be trained on the data that lives inside of your courses, or at least unless you've made them public. But if your courses aren't public, if your assessments aren't public, then the LLMs aren't going to understand the specific content that lives inside your course. So when we introduce an LLM into the learning process or into the course development process, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. And we need to have technical solutions to help to answer those questions. AI is very capable, but it's not necessarily reliable. It's non-deterministic. So we want to make sure that while LLMs might be 90% accurate, we have to apply them to the right solutions in the right use cases. That means if we're analyzing a course for alignment with learning objectives and using the LLM to help outline and create content, as long as that content is going to be reviewed by a curriculum designer, then 90% accuracy gives us an incredible performance benefit because I have somebody reviewing it. However, if I'm a student engaged in a high stakes exam, being assessed incorrectly 10% of the time is not acceptable. You're going to get a lot of complaints from students. So here you can see we've listed out a couple of questions and issues that arrive when incorporating LLMs into the instructional process. And so we're going to dive into just a couple of those here really quickly. Building an application enhanced with your data means that you have to figure out how to incorporate your data into the large language model. A common solution is to build what's known as a retrieval augmented generation application, or a RAG. Atomic Search can act as the backbone of your retrieval augmented generation application. So that step is already done for you. Atomic Search will draw from your institution's data sets to ensure that the AI output is accurate, relevant, and already aligned with your education goals, with your learning objectives, and with the content you've already produced. Atomic Search is both context and user aware. So it's going to use your existing LMS permissions to tailor the results to the current user, whether they're an instructor, a student, or administrator. Atomic Search understands the data governance configured ahead of time by the curriculum developer. So that means that when you have time release content, students are only going to get results from the content available to them at a given time. If you have progression-based content, the results will show the content based on the student's progression through the learning content. And that's the content that's going to be available to your AI application when the student is interacting with the AI, or in the case of an instructional designer, of course, all of the content that they have access to is going to be available to them. Let's see here. So in addition to course-centric applications, we have cross-course instructional access that allows the student or instructor or administrator to find content that they need to study without having to figure out where it lives, which is really beneficial because I might remember that I had a question related to my biology course, but I don't remember which biology course contains the answer because I'm a biology student. I have 10 different courses. So it'll go through all of the content that I currently have access to. This is useful for courses that complement or build on each other, or when the student needs help filling in knowledge gaps. The broad search capability is also helpful when constructing artificial intelligence applications that help to analyze and construct and understand the content that you've been producing. So as an instructor, I might have 10 years worth of content built up, and I might need to build a new course, or I might want to analyze my current course in the context of its uh, relevance and capabilities relative to my previous courses. I might want to be able to look at the learning objectives in my current course and compare those to learning objectives that I've specified in years past. So Atomic Search allows you to dig deep into your content and find that content without actually having to figure out where it all lives. Of course, administrators are able to search and view and interact with content across the institution, and be able to feed that into an AI allows for broad reporting and analysis so that we can achieve better understanding of instructional content at the institution. And Atomic Search also provides source links to the content. This is important for attribution. It's already fine-tuned for indexing and updating so that your data is always up to date and relevant. We spend a lot of time working with the learning management systems so that we can ensure the indexing happens in as near real time as possible without overwhelming the learning management systems API access. So by implementing RAG through Atomic Search, we can provide personalized, context-aware responses for students and link the AI interactions directly to the relevant content within the courses so that you can attribute the content. Atomic Search is well tested. It's a mature product, which makes it ideal to build secure AI applications. We've invested in and maintained compliance with SOC 2 Type 2, GDPR, and FERPA. So, so you don't have to. You don't have to go through all of the hassle of ensuring that your data stores are compliant with all of these standards. We've already spent quite a bit of time and money doing that. We have an experienced team of security and DevOps professionals. They conduct regular security assessment and penetration tests to ensure that your data is secure and that your student and instructor data remains private. We continually monitor for potential security vulnerabilities. We review all the latest from OWASP and other sources for security threats. We ensure that your data that is provided by faculty and students, however they provide that in whatever context and application, doesn't get used for training purposes with LLMs. And then we employ a review process to ensure that AI content that is generated is safe and appropriate before it's presented, whatever context that it's going to be presented in. We also have policies and processes in place to ensure that privacy and security and just general protection for your students, your instructors, your administrators. Okay. I'm going to pause and see if there's any questions so far. And if not,
No questions so far in the chat, but if anybody has any, please make sure to drop them in.
okay. So I'm going to demonstrate a quick example of using Atomic Search to build an AI application. And in this case, what I've built is what's called a custom GPT. This is an easy way, well, not necessarily easy. It's a relatively easy way when compared to building a large application to build an AI application for testing and for prototyping. So in this particular case, this custom GPT has access to Atomic Search. It has access to the Canvas API. And then it has some background information, some data that I've preloaded so that it knows the type of interactions that we want to have. So I've told it that it's a curriculum designer. So it's already in the mindset that it's going to be involved in education. So we'll do a quick demo and try a couple things here. So I can start by listing my courses. So these are some of the prompts that I've pre-configured. What this is going to do is it's going to call out to my instance of Canvas, and it's going to retrieve my courses. So you can see I have a number. I'm a developer, so a lot of these courses are going to be development kind of not polished courses, but they'll be good enough for demonstration purposes. All right, so once it's done listing those out, Takes just a minute here. Okay. So now I can start asking some questions about my courses. So for example, let's list the course objectives for biology. All right, so this has gone out and it's talked to the Canvas API and it's grabbed my learning objectives for the course. All right, so let's also list the assignments. Perfect. Okay, so now it's retrieving a list of the assignments for my biology courses. It's retrieved links to each of those assignments. But now let's ask it more than just things that we could get by browsing through the interface. Let's say, do the assignments align with the course objective now? Sorry, course objectives. Okay, so now it's going to evaluate the two together. It's going to look at the objectives, it's going to look at the assignments, it's going to determine how well they align. Okay. Now let's ask it a more complex question. Should I change any of the assignments? Better aligning learning objectives. So this is searching, there was just a question in the chat I noticed. The original query was across all the courses. In this case, it's scoping the query down to just the biology course because I'm caring about the learning objectives in the biology course. So I started up above by asking it about the biology course, and it retains that that context as I ask these additional questions. But I can actually run another query here. Let's go ahead and run this one and ask it, how can I improve my teaching and learning? What changes should I be making? All right. So general adjustments, clarify the connection to the learning objectives, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm going to let it finish. Okay, so let's ask it now I would like to add a new page to my biology course. Let's see here. If I can remember some basic biology. Let's develop content based on safety and science. Please link to existing content, of course. Okay, so I'm going to let that generate. So what this is going to do is it's going to start developing some of the content. It's going to look at the content that I already have in the course, and it should start searching through the content in my course and link out to those. There was a question in the chat. It says, for customers who are customers of an LLM vendor, have you considered the possibility of allowing your customers to specify the LLM tenant used for search-related chat, perhaps via a customer-maintained API access token? And that is a really good question, and the answer is yes. So in this particular example, I've hooked Atomic Assessments and the Canvas API directly into OpenAI's ChatGPT, right, to develop a custom GPT. But we also work with AWS to utilize a whole bunch of different models. And if you have a particular vendor that you work with, we have basically an AI layer that you call out to, and then that AI layer says for this customer, they want to use this vendor, and then you can switch back and forth between different models. Luckily, the API access to each vendor is not overly complex, so we're able to swap them in and out relatively easily. So, okay, so you guys are on OpenAI. Cool. So you can see right here, I asked it to create a new page titled Safety and Science, and I can look at that page here. So let's go ahead and click on that. It's going to open. And here is this new page that I generated in Canvas. So one of the things that I did do, and this is where I haven't really applied a lot of guardrails in this application. And I didn't because I'm a developer. If you were an instructional designer or admin, you could have the same level of access. So I've let this custom GPT talk directly to the Canvas API to create content. So here you can see an example. It's actually created a new page and it's linked to different content that already exists inside of the course. So that's kind of cool. It was able to find stuff and search stuff. Um, all right. So let's go over here. And let's ask about another course. So somebody had asked, is this doing a search across all my courses or just a single course? And of course, we've been working just in the biology course, but I can also say something like, what are the pages in my American history course? So now we're leaving the context of the biology course and we've shifted over to the American history course. And we're able to do that again because all of the data across my entire institution, across all my courses is already indexed. It's ready to go. So you can see here's a number of pages that are in my American history course. No, it's actually finding something that I probably messed up my American history course and added a math page to it. Sorry. Again, lots of developer stuff floating around in here. Let's add a new page. So we need to build new content for the course. Now, interestingly enough, this was a problem that Google was trying to solve years and years ago. I attended a Google I/O, and it was a really big deal for an AI to be able to understand context. So when I type in, I need to build some new content for the course, they had invested a ton of time and a ton of resources in being able to solve what do you mean by the course. And here we almost take it for granted now, but with these large language models, they're able to understand the context and they just know that when I say the course, it's going to be the American history course. So that's actually something that I found really kind of cool and kind of fascinating. For the course, let's see, Constitution. Let's include introduction, some background, information on founders of the summary. Let's see there. The existing content. Ironically, you can misspell stuff too. The LLMs most of the time don't care, but I'll try to not to misspell things. Let's also ask it to provide some surprising details. All right, so I'm gonna let that generate and then I'll go over here. It says, question was more, can you look for something specific across all courses in an instance? We are sometimes tasked with finding a needle in a haystack, and the answer is yes. And I probably wouldn't do that in this, like this demonstration is a chat GPT custom GPT demo. I got to confirm that. And you can see it keeps asking me if it's okay talking to these different APIs and whatnot. If you wanted to do a search, then you would probably just drop into the atomic search interface, the one that I kind of showed. And like Lauren said, we also have a find and replace. So you can find content by exact match or by regular expression across your entire institution, across, however many years of content you have. We do index terabytes and terabytes of data. And so some institutions have very, very large repositories of data, and different people do things different ways. We have some institutions where they'll have a single course that has 10,000 students, and they basically pack an entire year worth of curriculum into a single course. I don't know why. That's just how they chose to design their instruction. And we have other institutions where somebody's taught for 20 years and they've imported content, from WebCT into Blackboard into now into Canvas. And so there's like 10 years worth of content or 20 years worth of content. And so we can go back into that historical data, and we can help you find the needle in the haystack. So you can see here, it generated a new page. Let's go open that one. Yeah, and there's a new page on the Constitution, a couple of links to existing content to help you discover stuff. So I'm going to end the demo there. And if there are any other questions, happy to answer those. I would say that we are currently working with a certain group of customers who've come to us and asked us with help around artificial intelligence solutions. The most obvious one of those kind of applications is in course chatbots, but some of the really interesting opportunities I think are around formative assessment tools. We have a product called Atomic Assessments that we do provide some AI capabilities. We'll show that in a future webinar. Curriculum analysis and development tools to help you through the instructional design process, and then of course student engagement analytics and analysis. Okay, and I think that is as much time as I have. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy to talk. In the audit history, it'll say that I made the page because it's using my API token. So it uses an OAuth process so that it knows exactly who's doing what work. All right.
All right. Well, thank
Appreciate
you,
everything that
everybody.
everybody's doing.
Appreciate it. Be on the lookout for my email. I will include a recording from today's session. And if you're interested in learning more about Atomic Jolt tools or how we can help with your AI project, I'll also include a link to my calendar. Thanks again.